Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists. Martine from General Bytes.
Happy New Year, guys.
Josh Gagala from Vaultoro.
Yeah, Happy New Year 2021, eh?
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue one. Issue one, Michael Saylor. What's going on? Why won't it change the screens? It's genius. Firefox. Oh, well. Michael Saylor, according to the New Republic magazine, is being called the accused fraudster behind the Bitcoin boom. MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor has invested billions in Bitcoin. Can we trust him or the cryptocurrency's skyrocketing value? Martine, I ask you, has Michael Saylor put too much money in Bitcoin? Is he talking about Bitcoin or is he talking about his money? You're muted.
I think Michael has still way too much money invested in dollars at this time. He's just trying to basically protect his assets. So he's making a conservative bet in dollars to keep a little bit in dollars, but I don't think he nearly has enough Bitcoin.
Josh Gagala.
I mean, yeah, Michael Saylor. I don't know. He's one of these new school evangelists. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, someone that's going to pump $1.5 billion into something are going to like shill it like crazy. So, yeah.
I just think it's funny to hear him say all the things that we said in 2013, but now everyone's listening to him because he's important. Whereas if you look at his Twitter account from 2013, he specifically said that Bitcoin was no good. He's had a complete 180, and it's just interesting to see how people react to his news versus our news, which they never gave a shit about.
Yeah, totally. It's all the same tweets that, you know, this sort of Andreas Antonopoulos style sort of enthusiastic, wise words that are well orchestrated. And you think, yeah. And then you think, oh, man. Who cares? Just some Wall Street dick.
Isn't this the case with everybody who just gets into Bitcoin? People are just extremely excited. You know, they discovered Bitcoin. They see the power of Bitcoin once they discover it. And then, you know, you just can't stop talking about it. And you want to keep talking about it. Even if you know people don't want to hear it, you keep talking about it. And somebody like Michael Saylor, especially if you like invest $1.5 billion, Josh?
Yeah.
Then you know, then it will be like CNBC and all the big channels will be all over you. So yeah, I can understand it though. I can understand.
Well, and I do think that's the issue with Michael Saylor is that people are worried that he's only talking about Bitcoin because he's invested in it, not because he's invested in it, right? We're at the point now where by putting $1 billion in, certainly he's the largest hodler we know of. But, you know, on the values, on the archetypes, on the software, on all the things that we believe in, is he with us or is he just with us?
Well, he doesn't like Bitcoin Cash, apparently, according to the chat. So maybe he's more with Bitcoin. He understands layer 2. Yeah, well, let's see.
He doesn't like Ethereum either because he doesn't care about smart contracts and oracles and decentralized platforms. He just wants hard money, and Bitcoin is hard money. And there's a cap of 21 million. And you haven't got that with Ethereum. And Bitcoin Cash, well, yeah, okay, it's nice, but nobody uses it. So it's not nice as hard money. So I think this is why he's all in Bitcoin. He gets it. So yeah, I think he's invested more than just the money.
But actually, someone brought up a good point. Rolando Tech said in the chat, wait till crypto winter. And that's where you really see the strong hands. That's where you see the passion for the technology rather than the Lambo moons.
Well, and I'll believe him when he wears an orange shirt. That's the thing that will convince me. Moving on to the exit question. Does Michael Saylor believe in Bitcoin or does he believe in his investment? Martine.
I think at first he believes in his investment, but once he gets to learn more about Bitcoin, he obviously, studied it before investing all this money. He will appreciate and be vested into Bitcoin. Yes, I think it's a sort of rabbit hole. Once you go down the Satoshi rabbit hole, you never go back.
Josh Gagala.
Yeah, I think he does believe in Bitcoin. I think he's pretty genuine about it for sure. From what I've read, his big, and heard from him speak, he's just sadly a bit late to the game. I guess some people need it to be ridiculously high before they pile a bucket load of their investors' money into something.
That is what's so funny about it now, Josh. If he's a genius now for investing in Bitcoin so late, what would he have been if he invested in 2013?
I mean, he says it's still early.
Well, and it's just like Ferris Bueller said, I don't believe in Beatles. I just believe in me. Moving on to issue 2, select screen. You get a 50-50 shot. Oh, it's this one. Issue 2. Wall Street revives dream of Bitcoin ETF. Yes, it's time to talk about the Bitcoin ETF once again. Normal people on the stock market could invest their money in Bitcoin, or they could just wait around forever for a Bitcoin ETF so they could buy it with shares using their Bloomberg terminals, causing a whole new raft of Bitcoin to be invested in by innocent people on the stock market. It could lead to exciting opportunities in holding other people's coins. Always fun to see. Josh Gagala, we talk about it every year. It's time for our annual discussion of the Bitcoin ETF.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the SEC and the entire game that they play, I feel like they're sort of the inside scammers now because they know how much they move the market. You can see, for whatever you think of Ripple, you can see the massive effect that the single word from the SEC does. Just drives retail investors to absolutely get decimated, and I think they play the same game. China played the same game earlier on too, with the whole we're banning, the Central Bank of China just constantly banning Bitcoin and then unbanning it and then banning it, and meanwhile they're just stacking sats the whole way up. You can guarantee that. I feel that there's people at the SEC doing the same thing. In terms of the ETF. Yeah, it's always one of these things. Do we really care apart from, it drives the price up, but does it drive it naturally? I would rather see the price slowly, naturally go up with retailers, actual people using it, rather than these strange instruments. Because with ETFs, you also don't know how backed they are. There are some really clever auditing things that you can do. Like we at Voltoro do it with the Glassbooks protocol, where you can actually show cold wallets and show addresses and let the public audit the ETF. That could happen. So I would like to see an ETF that's truly transparent like that. That would be really, really cool. But I doubt it's going to happen because they have to shift so much. And I guess that the one that they're going to pass through the ETF through the SEC won't be backed. It'll be always cash settled. So I think that'll be a shame. It's typical what's happening with the futures. I haven't read about the specific proposal, but my guess is that it'll be cash settled because it's just too hard to buy that much bulk and sell that much bulk constantly. The market's not liquid enough yet.
Well, in my line of business, it's important to be hip. So I want to turn around and be against the Bitcoin ETF before anyone else can be. I think it's been too long. The normal people aren't going to invest. They're not going to find a floor. They're not going to make any money. It'll cause the market to go down. The smart sellers will short the thing. And more importantly, I think that it puts too large of a honeypot in hackers' sites. The Bitcoin ETF would have to buy so much Bitcoin and hold so much Bitcoin that maybe somebody on the inside with a name like the Plague will end up stealing all the Bitcoin. So I'm worried about the Bitcoin ETF. I want to go negative on it. I'm taking the lead. Martin, your thoughts?
I'm a bit positive about it. I think for securing the funds, there is a proper way. I think you can link multiple hardware wallets together to form, I believe, a caravan, what they call it. So for security, there are several options. I would never ever invest in such a vehicle myself. I'd rather keep my private keys. I think not your private keys, not your coins, is still valid in 2021. So I'm just a bit old school maybe. But I guess that for a lot of people, you know, they just look on their phone and they look at their bank app and they search for Bitcoin and they just see nothing. They just see all those companies. You know, people are still pouring money into Hertz. So then a company that's practically dead. So then why not just select something like a Bitcoin ETF and pour your money in there? Yeah, if that's what they want, it will just get more exposure. Not sure what it will do for the price, but no, I'd rather keep my private keys myself. But for Bitcoin in general, I think it's good. It just shows market maturity, and I think this is a bit of recognition after 10 years of working hard to get Bitcoin recognized. No, I don't know. What's your
Well, I think they need more than just a caravan. They might need a whole caravan. Sorry. But Josh, what do you think? Exit question. Will the Bitcoin ETF be good for Bitcoin? Yes or no?
Oh, man. No. I don't like ETFs generally.
Josh says no. Martin, tiebreaker.
I think it's good. I think it's good. It gives more exposure, and it will probably get more people, you know, the men on the street buying in via PayPal or just, yeah. I wouldn't purchase anything ETF myself. No. So
and while I think it's fun and trendy to speak out against the ETF and to warn people about the honeypot and to even say they might be using fractional reserve Bitcoining, and there'll be articles about that and so on and so forth. The Bitcoin ETF's good for Bitcoin. It's always good for Bitcoin. It's a giant inflow of new money, mostly all the people's retirement accounts and other people who are risk averse. They didn't want to buy Bitcoin when it was cheap, but they're going to love buying it when it's expensive with their retirement accounts for reasons that I can't explain. Back to the screen share. Did you know the World Crypto Network has its own shop at shop.worldcryptonetwork.com? You can get World Crypto Network, the mug, Treasures Don't Float, the t-shirt, the Bitcoin Not Bombs 2020 Bitcoin Halving Special Edition, and World Crypto Network, the shirt, all at shop.worldcryptonetwork.com. I also like to thank everyone in the chat for giving us a thumbs up and a share. We haven't been looking at that this episode. We've been talking, but we'll start focusing on it again. So thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like. We're about 60-40 people who subscribe. So join the 60%. Subscribe to the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue 3. Bitcoin price faces the last roadblock before $30,000. The price of Bitcoin has achieved yet another new all-time high, but is struggling to break past $30,000. It's jumped from around $9,000 to $30,000. When will it end? Where is the top of Bitcoin? Josh Kagala.
I love how they're like, can't break out of 30. That, like, it was barely 20 like a week ago, guys. Would you give it a second? I mean, what? What other investment goes up so much and then they're like bitching and moaning about it not going past? Like, just let it chill. Let it chill. I'd be really happy if it just chilled for a little bit at 29, moved sideways for like a month. I would be stoked, because then, you know, new floor, cool. It's not gonna like, because otherwise, if it just keeps going, bomb, 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 thousands a day, you're gonna basically see you're not gonna know when it's gonna crash, and it's gonna crash. And you know, you take the stairs up and the elevator down, it's like that, and if it goes that fast up, if you're taking the stairs that fast up, you can imagine how fast down it goes. And then you're screwed for like 2-3 years, 4 years next time. Each bear market gets longer and each hype cycle gets higher. So you just, let's just hope that it just chills for a minute, would you?
One of the best pieces of advice that I often hear and always ignore is that if it looks like something you wouldn't ski down, it might be a good time to sell. Martin, your thoughts on the amazing price of Bitcoin?
I think it was last year last week when you asked us what would we think the price would do next week. And I thought we would be going sideways, I believe, between 23 and 24,000. And we're at like 29,000 now. So I'd rather see it go a bit sideways. Stairs up, elevator down is very applicable here. So we don't want to see it go up like crazy. Just, give it some time. It will eventually break through the 30,000. And yeah. I wouldn't even mind a little bit of a pullback. That would be healthy, I guess, because you usually see when it goes sideways for a while, all these shitcoins start pumping, and that really is not good for the market. So either up or just a little bit of a correction and then gradually go up again. That's what I prefer to see. But then, I haven't got a $1.5 billion invested, so I have no muscle in this market. So I'm just standing by and watching the show.
If wishes were fishes, we'd all live in the sea. Is that right?
Yes, it's no longer our Bitcoin. It now belongs to the billionaires. Josh Kagala, forced prediction with it all on the line, up against the ball. Will the price of Bitcoin be higher or lower next week?
I think we will see a correction. It's that round number. It's that 30,000. People will sell off.
Martin, do you agree?
It will go sideways. I mean, a correction, maybe a little bit, but I don't see a big drop anytime soon. There's just too much institutional money in it right now. The
Magic 8 Ball, the predictor of predictors. Will the price be higher next week? Says, it is decidedly so. It is decidedly so. The price of Bitcoin cannot be stopped. See, it says screen share doesn't work at all anymore.
We have a group, by the way, called the Voltoro VIP Alerts on Telegram. You can get there with t.me/Voltoro VIP. And there we had a bit of a poll whether there's going to be a huge BTC correction. 22% said yes. A small BTC correction said 22% said that. 33% said that they're just cross-averaging out because we're getting a lot of action, people buying gold. And last time that happened, it was 2017 December. So because our gold people are pretty good at understanding macroeconomic theory a little bit better than the moon boys in crypto. So that's why I put that poll out, just to see if this is another massive dump or if people are just cross-averaging.
We'll have to see. Moving on to issue 4. Issue 4, Russell Okung to be the first NFL player paid in Bitcoin. $6.5 million, around 50% of his salary for the Carolina Panthers, will be deposited in his Bitcoin account. He's the first major sports player to be paid in Bitcoin. He's a fan of Bitcoin, appearing at several Bitcoin conferences and very active on Twitter. He was recently reading A Creature from Jekyll Island. Seems on his way to becoming a monetary libertarian of some type. Will this be a major deal for Bitcoin? Martin, your thoughts?
I read somewhere else that he is not paid in Bitcoin. So I'm not sure how authentic this article is or whether it's really correct. I think he probably spends a lot of his money and then buys Bitcoin. But from my understanding, he is not paid 100% in or 50% in Bitcoin. He might use one of those services where you just dump some cash and then it converts it to Bitcoin. But it's not that his employer actually sends him Bitcoin. So I don't know. What was the question again, Thomas?
It would be too bad if that's true. I like the idea of the NFL having to go to some Bitcoin person. Maybe they have to meet at a coffee shop or a bank, and the NFL hands over the 6.5 million and maybe a nice briefcase, and the Bitcoiner, you know, just bings it right there off the phone. I've got this lying around for you. I used to have a computer on this back in the day, and they pay for half the football player's salary. Whether it's just a promise to put the money in or it's an actual demand, he got the story written. The story got everywhere. So I think it's just more about celebrating this guy who's into Bitcoin and wants to make a big bet.
I think it's a good move. I think it's a smart move. He, being an NFL player gives you lots of disposable income, so it would be foolish to keep it all in, in cars, jewelry, real estate. It's better to just save some and put it into Bitcoin, just like Michael Saylor does. I think this is he's already taking a big risk by keeping 50% in dollars. So I think he's really is good. I think it's great that he does that, and the publicity he got around it is perfect as well. Good for Bitcoin, definitely. But from what my understanding was from another article is that the NFL doesn't go to, say, a Bitcoin ATM with a suitcase of cash and then deposits a few million into the machine, but that he probably has it converted maybe via an online service. I think overall great for Bitcoin. Yes.
Again, another great image. I've pictured the NFL pouring the bills in there, wishing they had larger and larger bills. So it is funny to see these new players come along with millions and millions and even billions of dollars and make these big bets on Bitcoin. They're kind of fun. I think we all wish we could make these kind of big bets on Bitcoin. I know when I put my only $1,000 in, it was like all the $1,000 that I had, and then it was gone. And, it's a lot different for these guys, but it's fun. It puts a little marker down on the board. Everyone can say, wow, what a great bet he did if he got paid last week. And they say, oh, but if he got paid this week, not so great a bet. So it is difficult to be paid in Bitcoin. There are some ups and some downs there. Josh Kagala, your thoughts about the National Football League?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the pain in getting paid in Bitcoin is only more painful if you're 50-50. If you're 100% in Bitcoin and you're paying people in Bitcoin, you're getting paid in Bitcoin and it moves around, you don't really even look at the price. You just it's not as painful. You don't notice it as much. So that's the thing about volatility. I actually did an interview with Andreas about a year ago at LeBitConf where we were talking about that exact thing. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing when I used to talk to shopkeepers about accepting Bitcoin, and they'd be like, "Oh no, it's too volatile." And I'm like, man, if you'll sell like 1 or 2 things a year with Bitcoin. What are you kidding? Just keep the Bitcoin. Right? It's not going to break the bank. No, better not. It's too volatile, and it's the same for these guys. They won't miss it. They've got so much money coming. You can't spend 6 point whatever million. I mean, once you've got your favorite car, you got a nice new Mac, you got your VR goggles and a nice place to live, and a Tesla. You kind of, I don't know. I guess people always want more of something, but it's hard to constantly spend. So you put that money there, you're not going to miss it really. And and the saying used to be, only invest as much as you're willing to lose in Bitcoin. And now, and I've said it before on this show, but keep as much in the bank as you're willing to lose. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that, including Michael Saylor and people like this gentleman. They don't want to keep all that money in the bank. It's risky now. It's looking risky because these banks are looking shaky. There's laws all around the place that are saying, hey, we can have bail-ins legally now all around Europe. That's normal. I'm not sure about in America yet, but the bailout, whether it's bail-in or bail-out, either way, the savers lose. One way it's through inflation and one way it's through just pure theft. So, I mean, get if you're earning large wads of cash, put some away into Bitcoin for sure.
I'd just like to thank everyone for giving us a like down below. We have 152 live viewers, but we only have around 44 likes. So like this video, like all the YouTube videos that you see. Liking is free. Liking is fun. They all say it. And the reason they say it is because when you like the video, YouTube recommends it to other people. So it's like a free way of helping out the people that make the video. So moving on to the exit question. Exit question, how do you guys think this will spread? Now that we've had one major NFLer put a $6.5 million salary bet, maybe even next year, another 50% of salary in, another 50% of salary in. Will this spread to other sports, other large contracts, or will the Carolina Panthers, the team that Russell Okung's on, will they become the Bitcoin team if he has success, or will they mock the shit out of him if he fails? Martin, your thoughts. How will this spread through the sport community?
I think it will definitely be noticed by other players. I mean, they're all they all got plenty of disposable income. So what do you do with it? Usually, as Josh said, you got the house, you got the Tesla, you got the Xbox, the VR, and what else is there to buy right now? So this is where you'll see they'll start looking at investments. And I think as an investment, Bitcoin is handy. You can just store it easily. You can take it wherever you want to go. It's difficult to confiscate. No bail-in, bailouts. So yes, this will definitely become a trend, unless of course the price goes down, and then everybody will be joking to him about his Bitcoin. But that happens to all of us, whether you've got millions invested or just a couple of thousand.
Josh Gagala.
What was the question? Sorry, man.
How will this spread through sport?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It all depends on the price. If the price goes down, it'll spread through sport. I mean, the thing is, a lot of sports people are kind of gamblers as well. People that watch sports. So I think if they see people putting it into Bitcoin, maybe they learn about it and think, what is this Bitcoin thing? Although most people have heard about it by now.
I just think it's exciting for Bitcoin to have this kind of a spokesperson, and I welcome him, even though he's different than us. He's a sport person. We're a computer geek, so on and so forth. I even love that he wears his private key around his neck. I don't know if he has a crypto steel or one of those things, but it's just so funny. This giant buff athletic person with a Bitcoin around his neck versus all of us not fit nerds with our necklaces and other nonsense. So it's great to have aboard.
A great company in the space has been around forever, a long time, is Bitwage. They allow you to basically be paid in Bitcoin. So you can you get an account with them, and I haven't looked at them for ages, but they've been around a long time, so that's why I recommend it.
It was a very cool deal back in the day. The way that payroll works, you can get paid into a checking account and a savings account. So what you could do with Bitwage, at least years ago, I haven't checked in recently, but you could have some of your money sent off to this savings account that would then be converted into Bitcoin. So that was a very cool way to save your money.
They still exist.
Yeah, it still exists. Nice.
They still exist. They did change the service a bit though, but I noticed in Europe they registered in Ireland. I met the founder at the Bitcoin Embassy at the time, and he was in Europe to go to Ireland and get this account set up. It was very nice, sympathetic, very nice guy, down to earth, really looking, good at the whole business perspective of it. And it's nice to see that they're still around. I just checked them out last week. I don't know why, but I was just curious going through my bookmarks.
And of course, if Russell had used a company like Bitwage to get his $6.5 million, and if Bitwage even only took 1% of that money, that would be quite a pretty penny. So I don't know that he used that, or if he used Coinbase, or or if the NFL stood in line at an ATM. Anyway, somebody's making a great little percentage on that 6.5 million somewhere. But that's about it for the issues today. We're going to move on to predictions or story of the week. Josh Gagala, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
My story of the week is that we've got a silver airdrop. We launched silver on the 17th, and anyone that signs up to Vaultoro and just has a look around gets part of 5 kilos of silver that we're giving away. That's the story of the week. I know. Sorry, guys. It's just a shill fest of a prediction.
Well, when you have new things, you have new work, stuff to announce. It's a big news. I remember for a long time you say, Vaultoro is the gold and Bitcoin exchange, but now you can say gold, Bitcoin, and silver. So that's pretty cool. I want to thank everybody for listening to us on the likes. I know it's hard to listen to the goofballs on your screen when they say to push a button, but we went from 44 to 70. So that's really cool. Our goal this week is 200 likes. We've been getting closer and closer. I think our last goal was 150 and we hit it. We broke it. It says we have 1,000 playbacks. So I'm thinking people are kind of bored here on New Year's Day, but you could just be watching Cobra Kai. So we thank you for spending your time here before you go to watch Cobra Kai. Martin, your thoughts, story of the week or a prediction? What's going on at General Bytes?
We added some more features to the Every Trade accounting package from a while back. I think it's I'm joining Josh's shill fest because we're so busy on this Every Trade IO app, so that now you can have like organizations, so you can give your accountant like read-only access to your portfolio, so that whenever they need data on on your stack, they can just get it. They won't be able to edit it because you can give them read-only access. I think it just makes it a lot easier to do accounting within a company, because there's just one person holding the funds, but more people need access to those funds, at least to the numbers. And this way you can give them access to all the reports and data, so they can do their work without having to bother you. By the way, on the subject of thumbs up, last week we noticed that people thumbed up the video and immediately the Bitcoin price went up. So this might be another reason for people to just hit that thumbs up, then the subscribe button, and make sure you click the bell too for to get notified. But it will help YouTube. It will also prevent all the demonetization by YouTube, and it will please the YouTube overlords and start promoting the World Crypto Network a little bit more. And it will help Bitcoin. It will help your stack of Satoshi. So definitely click that thumbs up.
One thing before we go, I did want to talk about quickly is this whole SEC thing with Ripple Labs. I think it's very interesting, and I think it could have effects across the networks of cryptos. One thing that I find interesting is that now there's a civil suit against Coinbase for selling them an unregistered security. And what I think this might be secretly done by Ripple Labs behind the back to get Coinbase on their side, to then make sure that Coinbase puts a whole lot of strength into the case to try and get it not as a security, because if it's deemed as a security, it might hurt their IPO if they have to pay damages to every person that ever bought XRP through Coinbase. So there's a whole lot of like stuff at play with this Ripple SEC deal. I'll be interested to see what happens if Coinbase are going to really put some heavyweights behind the thing and hope and get.
I just think it's funny to see this whole thing happen in slow motion. I remember when Ripple came out and it seemed like they sold a security, and it seemed like they went from being a nothing to a giant company, and the guy was on all the top 10 lists and he was richer than Bezos and all this kind of thing, at least for a couple weeks there. And then it went back down and then it went back up. And then now we're finally getting to the regulatory response that a lot of us thought would have been a lot faster, especially with Ripple, especially with Ethereum. It seems they both sold securities. Then, at least with Ethereum, they got too big to fail. And they said, okay, they're grandfathered in. We can't touch them. But apparently they can still touch Ripple, and they're going for it. And to see the headline come across the feed, Ripple delisted from Coinbase. It never made any sense that they were there. It doesn't make any sense that any of these experimental currencies are on Coinbase, where they have Bitcoin, which is like a 99, and all these experimental things, which are like a 1 or a 2 or a 0.000001. And they list them right next to Bitcoin as if they're equivalents. Just another coin in our list. Martin, your thoughts on Ripple?
I think today or yesterday I saw on Binance. Binance is also delisting XRP or Ripple or whatever you want to call it. There are several others that are all throwing XRP out. So I think this will continue, and if once there are like no places where you can actually trade that coin, it will become just another shitcoin. So yes, this won't end well for Ripple. So too bad for those people that hold Ripple, but they always knew that this was a bit of a different cryptocurrency, and so.
I'm going to take the other side on this. I think there's a good opportunity for speculators to make some money on this collapse, because Ripple somehow has the ability to constantly go up because they seem to have these like armies of shillers online, and it's just crashed so much that it just seems like it's a no-brainer that it's going to go. Some bit of good news will come out perceived, and then bad news, and then good news, and this thing's going to go. So if you like ladder it up and ladder it down, not financial advice at all. And I definitely fundamentally don't think Ripple is anything of interest. I never really have. But on a pure speculatory bet on fake horses running, there's definitely if you're a speculator, there's definitely money to be made in the next few weeks or months ahead on these crazy coins.
Josh, this Ripple army, or I think this not the chillers online for Ripple. They analyzed that a while back, so they said it was like a bit of a probably partly automated or otherwise orchestrated event or thing, that it wasn't really organic people, real people shilling it, but primarily automated tools. So
yeah, I'm sure that there is some of that, but I think there literally is so many people interested in this space nowadays that it's quite, you could quite easily get thousands and thousands of people to go and be like super interested in getting their investment to go up, and actually Ripple were the very first to really understand the stupidity of people thinking that they want that they see how many numbers they've got in their wallet rather than what sort of percentage they have of the whole cake. So Ripple made 100 billion tokens, and EOS played the same game. They made a billion tokens, and so everyone's like, "Ooh, I've got 30,000 of these things." And of course, if it moves a few cents, it pumps, and that's why the founders of Ripple really. At one stage were so ridiculously wealthy because they held, I don't know, what is it? It's like 50-60% of this thing. And
a billion, gazillion.
Bazillion, gazillion. And I think this is why, this is why it really does play in the SEC hands in terms of seeing it as a security, because every time someone asks, well, what is the use case of XRP? They're like, it shows that it's a revenue stream of selling this. This is how the company makes money. They sell this because they own so many. And really, even if you ask a full-on XRP enthusiast, they're always like, well, eventually they'll say, well, you don't need to hold XRP. You can, so the banks will use usually IOUs between the banks and not the XRP token, or they'll generate their own. So I think these sorts of I don't know. Fundamentally, I think XRP isn't very useful.
Josh, well, it was a bit like the underwear gnomes, Josh, where step one, print XRP, step two, step three, profit. Yeah, and it is amazing to see they had that incredible army, all those trolls, whether they were paid, whether they just loved XRP, the standard, but to see them go all the way up. And then all the way to delisted and to question mark. And could this happen to your favorite crypto? Could this happen to Bitcoin? I mean, could this happen to Ethereum? I don't know. It's a fun story.
I don't think it will happen to Bitcoin. As Bitcoin really has a use case. You'll find that many of the altcoins, they're still, well, I won't say it's struggling, but they're looking for a use case, or they have a sort of like in their white paper, they had the sort of use case, but it still has to materialize. While Bitcoin, I think, has found its use case, as a store of value. And even though like Ethereum, yes, has a use case too, you can like run your smart contracts and all, but as a store of value, I wouldn't want to use Ethereum because there is no fixed limit. So if you see that people right now are starting to use Ethereum as a store of value, which is an entirely different story. But for XRP, we do support it on General Bytes ATM. So if clients of us, ATM operators, want to enable XRP, they're more than welcome to do so. I mean, we're just a DJ, they ask for XRP, we give them the option to sell XRP, but it's not something that's really popular at this time. This is there's not that many ATMs that actually enabled XRP, and many of those XRP holders, they are not very knowledgeable in the crypto space. They are like primarily noobs. They think, oh, it's the Bitcoin for the banks. And they don't realize that if a bank would approach Ripple Labs, say Citibank, for example, would approach Ripple Labs, that Ripple Labs would just create an XRP-like system called CityRP or something like that. And it would have nothing to do with XRP. So in that respect, I think the SEC was right, is saying, now, what is XRP? I mean, it's just a security, basically, because you're funding Ripple Labs. And that's, is a slippery slope. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes at this time.
Yeah, and we are seeing a lot of the tokens now are moving away from the ICO. They're doing airdrops, they're doing governance, so that the people have to actually do something to get rewarded back anything. So because the most interesting use for me personally of these sort of ICOs is if the company actually gives the dividend out for the profit, like instead of trying to fit the weird token into have some utility where it just doesn't make sense at all, and no one uses the product because it has this utility token that you need to sign up to some exchange to get to use the service, so no one uses the service, so the project fails. Instead, I'd rather have a project that is the cool project, and if you hold the token, you get paid some of the profits, but that then, of course, makes it a full-on security. So a lot of projects are now saying, no, to get it, you have to actually do something like vote or whatever, and then that takes you out of the security because then you're actually working by doing an action which takes it out, because the Howey test states that it's on, you're basically profiting from the work on someone else. So it's interesting watching the whole crypto space evolve out of this and dance around a lot of these archaic rules and laws that are there also for a reason, because there's so many scammers out there that have scammed people for so long. We've seen it in gold, we've seen it in crypto, we've seen it in, the Howey test came from land where people had lemon trees or whatever, so citrus or something. There's always been scams everywhere. So obviously these rules have evolved, but then technology like crypto comes out and it's a total twist on everything, and they're trying to fit some of these old school rules on this one, and they're always going to get stuck. But it's definitely an interesting thing to watch out for, folks. I'm definitely keeping a close eye on this whole debacle, and I'm very interested in see how Coinbase deals with it. I think they'll probably just settle out of court and get on with life, but we'll see.
Well, all these businessmen wondered why Satoshi disappeared. Why would you create something like a cryptocurrency? Maybe it's popular, maybe it's not popular, but you leave before any of that happens. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you give up the ability to be on the top 10 richest list? Why would you give up the ability to have billions and billions of XRP? All these things. And now they're slowly learning why. It takes years, right? These guys had years of Ripple being a big success before they had it slightly roll back. And as it keeps rolling back and the waves are coming up to their mansions that they bought with Ripple and all these other things, at the end of it, they're going to say, gosh, I wish I was like Satoshi. I wish we had created Ripple anonymously and just left it out there. Even if we did it as a game, like we purposely created it in a lab, then we went out and leaked it, with a cell phone modem at a payphone. while it was circulating around us. But yeah, they're going to wonder and they're going to learn why Satoshi did what he did, why it was such an amazing thing. And it was similar to Prometheus and all these things that we talk about. It was an incredible thing to walk away from Bitcoin. And these Ripple guys don't have it to walk away in the beginning. And they thought it was cool and funny to print their own money. And everyone else who's ever printed their own money, whether their name be Lincoln or Kennedy, it's always ended badly. So don't print your own money is the lesson of our times. And that's why Satoshi disappeared. In case people were wondering what Ripple is for, well, of course, XRP is the standard. The standard what? Well, no one ever knew and no one's ever going to find out. So one more thing before we go. I just want to thank everyone for donating. We've got a donation page up over at Tallycoin, tallyco.in/s/1 million. This is a special page on Tallycoin. We're trying to fundraise to raise $1 million in Bitcoin, and we keep getting closer all the time because the goal is going down. We've raised around 12 million Satoshis towards our goal of 3.4 billion Satoshis. So you can donate here. We also have links below to go to Tallycoin. You can use the Lightning Network, donate $10. You can also sign up at Patreon. Thanks to everyone who's sticking with us at Patreon. You might have forgotten about it. We might have forgotten about you, but we still raise a little bit of money every month from Patreon. So thanks so much for supporting this show and helping to keep us going. Also, thanks to everybody giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
We've got 97 likes. We're very close to 100. We have around 202 live viewers, so we could get this done. We'll be back again next Friday at 1 o'clock. Also, check out the Mad Bitcoins Twitter and the Mad Bitcoins YouTube account because I made another episode of Mad Bitcoins. So there you go. You guys can check that out too. So thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye.